treaties within the East African region. I was waiting for our participants from Burundi to join the call. I have not seen them yet, but I've indicated. But maybe if we can, in the meantime, as we're waiting, we can start with brief introductions on who is the call, just so we know who is in the room and who are we addressing. Maybe to start, I will be calling. I will introduce myself, and then I'll give it to Robert. Then Robert, you will call some other person too, and then it will go on like that. When you finish introducing, you call some other person to do the introduction. Yeah, as I mentioned, Judith Movara is my name, and I do work with Fiat in Uganda under the Trade and Investment Program, specifically under the Investment for Sustainability Program. Yeah. Robert Turiachila, please.
I don't know why you have decided to start with me, but but thank you so much, Judith. My name is Robert Riachila, Deputy Executive Director of the Environment Shield, and I'm very glad to be part of this call. I am looking towards the very constructive engagements. I think this discussion is very timely, because when you look at the bilateral investment treaties that we have in the region, they actually need to be renegotiated. But allow me to invite Jennifer Ameja. I'm just speaking randomly. Jennifer Ameja, please kindly introduce yourself. Thank you so much, Judith.
Thanks, Robert. I really appreciate it. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, please.
Okay, please. Thank you so much.
Jennifer, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm privileged to be among the first one to introduce. My name is Jennifer Ameja. I work for Center for Ecological Governance and Gender Initiatives, that is SEGI in short. I'm indeed privileged. I'd missed out. I've just now just seen the email, and I'm very privileged to be part of this meeting. So I'm sure I will really enjoy the proceedings and learn quite a lot. Thank you so much. I call the next person, or it is Robert?
Yeah,
to do so?
Please do.
You're supposed to call the next person. Jennifer, you're supposed to call the next person, please.
Yes. Can I call Madam Brenda Awori? I know she's part of she's the co-host, but I think Brenda, you can also introduce yourself, please. Is that okay?
Hello, Olivia, were you able to see a thing? Sorry, I think I dropped off for a minute. I guess Olivia is also not ready. Elvis Wambura. Yeah. Elvis, please come on and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, Judith. Hi, everyone. I was ready. Just that I unmuted and you said I wasn't ready. But can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can hear you, Olivia. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name's Olivia Costa. I work for Tanzania Trade and Investment Coalition. I'm the executive director. You'll forgive my voice because I'm under the weather this morning. And if in the middle of talking I sneeze, please forgive me. And I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia, for joining. Olivia is supposed to call someone to introduce next.
Sorry, I forgot. I call Nice Musana.
Yeah, thank you so much, Olivia. My name is Nice Musana. Oh, let me say actually, good morning. My name is Nice Musana and I work for Siatini, Uganda. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Let me call on to Thomas Wills to introduce himself.
Nice. Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Wills. I'm from the Trade Justice Movement in the UK. And I'm joining to understand what the discussion is in East Africa around reassessing and terminating BITs, because obviously the UK has BITs with a number of East African countries, and we're also interested in looking at reforming and terminating BITs. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'll pass to Linda Arinda.
Hi everyone and good morning. My name is Linda Arinda and I work with Siatin Uganda and Women Economic Justice. Thank you. I would like to call upon Thomas Wills to introduce themselves. Thank you.
It's just introduced her,
Linda, Thomas
I
just
called on
called
you.
you on.
Oh, it is Thomas
someone.
who called. Sorry about that. Let me call upon Jennifer Ameja.
Okay.
Linda, I think you have
Jennifer
just
has
come in,
also
but since you have
introduced
given me
themselves,
the
I'll
opportunity,
just call on someone else. Let me
since she
see.
has given me the opportunity, let
Who's
me
not
call
introduced?
someone who is very passionate. This is
Chimera
Mr.
Henry. Are you able to
Mr.
hear us? You could
Henry
introduce
Chimera.
yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning, colleagues. Chimera Henry. I work with Consent Consumer Center. I'm honored to be with you, and it is always a pleasure to be invited at the discourses Siatini puts up, and always an honor to learn and also share where possible. Thank you.
You're welcome, Henry. You may call on some other person, please.
Let me call upon, okay. Sekalema, please, may you introduce yourself. Okay, if he's in cyber.
Hello.
Okay, there he comes.
My name is Sekalema Uzaima. I work with Siatini Uganda as the program officer for agricultural trade for transformation. Let me call upon Ruth Arinda.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruth Arinda, and I also work with Siatini under the Investment for Sustainable Development Program. I pass it on to Sharon. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you are all doing well. My name is Sharon Nafa, and I'm from Siatini, Uganda. And I call upon Miss Penny Nambabazi to introduce herself.
Good morning. My name is Penny Nambabazi. I work for Siatini Uganda. I currently coordinate the Trade Investment and Development Program. Glad to be here. I pass it on to Farida Bahemuka. Miss Farida Bahemuka, are you there?
Okay. I guess Miss Farida may be coming later in case you're able to hear us. Elvis has not introduced themselves. Miss Melissa.
Thank you,
Miss
Judith.
Melissa.
Thank you, Judith. My name is Elvis from Parliament of Kenya, Kenyan Parliamentarians Association.
Elvis, I see you're on. You can proceed.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Elvis. I don't know what others think, but I can hear you, Elvis.
Okay. I don't know why, because I'm not able to hear Elvis. I don't know if it's my connection. But yeah, I think we can be able now to kickstart. Melissa, are you able to introduce yourself? I think you're the only remaining person. Then we can take it on.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. I'm Melissa Joan. I work with CRT in Uganda as an HR. Looking forward to the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for joining the call. We hope that Frida and the rest can be able to come in later and join us. Because of this engagement, it's a bit why we tried to put it on really is because we have realized that most of the BITs, the bilateral investment treaties within East Africa, are either have expired or about to expire. And usually the provisions of these BITs, they have a particular timing, like maybe 5 years, that after 5 years, it is automatically renewed. But that means that other aspects, the new, let me say, like maybe the nation's objectives or new aspirations are not captured because the BITs, so they are late. They are for a long time. They are around 1970s and 1980s. So these BITs have been, automatically renewed over time, and they do not incorporate emerging issues that arise with maybe that align with the nation's objectives or the nation's aspirations. So that's why we're calling on this engagement as really it will be one of the first engagements that we hope that to take it on from here. We will have maybe moving forward, we can have a hybrid engagement to bring together all of us from the region and also from the other regions, whoever is interested to take it on. We have people joining us from Burundi to talk about, we will have people joining us from Burundi to talk about the Burundi perspective. We have people from Tanzania to talk about Tanzania's perspective on the BITs, but also Kenya and Uganda. So that's the agenda of today. We'll have opening remarks from the ED of Siatini has not is maybe should join at some point later, but she's not able to make it right now. But I will have a representative, and then later we start into the discussion. We'll have a representative from Kenya, from Tanzania, and then Burundi, and then Uganda later on, and then we can come in with a way forward on how to go on. So for now, I think I can start off. I can start off with welcoming the ED of Siatini, Miss Jen Narunga. I can see you on. I think you can kickstart us up with the opening remarks and then we dive into the discussion. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Miss Jen Narunga, are you able to hear us? Okay, I guess Miss Jen is, I don't know, not hearing us. Let's, we'll have Penny Nambawazi to kind of kickstart off the meeting, and then Jen can be able to give us perspectives later on the call. Miss Penina, please come in. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you so much for joining Siatini on this call. Siatini is Southern and Eastern Africa Trade Information and Negotiations Institute, and we are a Pan-African NGO that works to promote pro-development trade, fiscal, investment-related policies and processes for sustained equitable development and improved livelihoods in Uganda, in East Africa, and beyond. We believe that we have ensured that a number of the discussions we're having, even for today's discussion, is that we're trying to see to it that we're strengthening capacity of stakeholders to influence trade, fiscal, and investment-related policies and processes through our research, advocacy, and information generation and dissemination. But most importantly is that we have closely built a working relationship with a number of different civil society organizations nationally, but also within the region. And I'm glad to see Olivia here, as well as also other colleagues from Burundi who will be joining. We are glad that we have been able to have a working relationship also with the different ministries, as well as the different coalitions coming from the East Africa Trade Network, but also globally under the Africa Trade Network, where we have established a number of civil society members that have been passionate about these issues regarding trade and investment. Just to kick off really is that over a period of time, trade and investment rules at all levels have largely been skewed and titled and tilted really in favor of a number of developed countries, but mainly also to the transnational corporations. And we believe by having this discussion today on the existing bilateral investment treaties in the region, we are trying to also ensure that we are opening up to have this discussion even broadly to the different partners that I see on the call as well. And I'm glad Tom Wills is also on. Thank you for being part of this discussion. We believe by having this discussion will enable us to see to it that we're able to create more awareness, but also identify the key areas for consideration, especially when it comes to renegotiate a number of these different BITs. And of course, increasingly, we know that there have been a number of human rights, environment violations, and this has really been most of the major challenge to do with the BITs, but also the fact that most of the capacity that our governments have right now is that they are also not aware of when these investment treaties tend to expire. So if it is not for civil society, we believe who then will be able to actually advise or to ensure that we voice our concerns to government to see to it that we call for renegotiation of a number of these treaties. Of course, we cannot turn a blind or a deaf ear to the fact that we know so many of the treaties already, even those that have happened, those that have been signed, for example, in Tanzania, have also brought along a number of investor-state dispute issues where cases have actually been lost. Government has lost a number of cases and have had to be sued by the different investors that have been in Tanzania that have called upon huge sums of resources to be reimbursed to them. So we need to be able to see to it today that the discussion we're having right now can be able to actually have key actions to call upon a number of the treaties. For example, the Kenya-Netherlands BIT, we know there is the Tanzania-Netherlands as well, and for Burundi too, that right now is, given the timelines that we have, this is an opportunity for us to see to it that we can raise more awareness, but also voice our concerns and pull together notable, at least possible actions that can take on the different way forward that we see, given the short time that we're looking at, especially for the Kenya-Netherlands BIT. And I believe from having this discussion today, it will enable us to also see to it that we are more keen to having civil society play a very important role in this discussion, because over time, Siatini has led a number of course, with partnering with different civil society organizations, those treaties that have been actually renegotiated, those that have been cancelled. And I know we have had a number of results that have come from our advocacy, but we have not done it alone. We have done it together with our different partners and different CSOs in the region. So we still believe that by doing this, we can still enable to have change and ensure that the BITs that are being signed today do carry a different stand and model that envisions economic, social, and cultural rights as at the center, but also envision more for development for the countries that are signing, because we get to realize it is largely skewed to FDIs, foreign direct investment, as opposed to development. So we need to see to it that we're actually gaining more from these BITs. So I'm glad that this discussion is happening. I don't want to take most of the time with these opening remarks, but I believe also our executive director, Ms. Jen Nalunga, will be able to also join in and share her insights. And we are glad that she's been able to also be part of the call, as she's also a bit in transit. So thank you so much, everyone. And let's be able to discuss and have a way forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Penina. The AD Siatini has sent in apologies. I think she's not able to talk because of the connections, but she will keep on a call in case she gets better connection. She will be able to join in. Yes. So moving forward, maybe I thought that we can first of all introduce, for someone who doesn't know about BITs that is on the call, I thought I should just throw some light on what BITs mean and why we are having this conversation. So the bilateral investment treaties are treaties that are between two countries. It can be a regional economic community, but these are usually aimed on promotion and protecting investments. So over time, we have had discussions of whether signing these BITs actually pro-development. And this is a discussion that has been over time, and research has been made to that effect. And the recent research of 2022, I think, by the Columbia Center for Sustainable Development indicates that the foreign direct investments do have a great potential that spur development, but its effect to how the communities or the countries benefit is almost 0%. So this is why we're having a discussion. Why then are we having these strict measures or terms included in these BITs, yet we are not able to have benefit from these BITs. So on the call, I have Olivia Costa from Tanzania. She will be able to share with us the perspective. We're having, so we'll start with Tanzania to share with us what is the state of play in Tanzania? How are these BITs benefiting a country or communities in which these investments come in? So Olivia Costa, please, you can be able to come in to share Tanzania's perspective. You can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much, Judith. And thank you everybody for joining us to collaborate or to chat about these BITs. In Tanzania, we have analyzed all the BITs that we have in place. There are 11 in total, and all of them have been analyzed. One has been terminated, and another one has been given notice. This one that has been terminated is Tanzania, between Tanzania and Netherlands. That was actually in with the help of Siatini back in 2018. So last year, the Canadian one was coming to an end as well, of which it had same provisions like the Netherlands one, but this one was 1 year. So it's coming to an end this year actually, but it demanded, excuse me, it demanded 1 year notice, which they were served that notice, and it's coming to an end on the 9th of December. In between last year, December, when the notice was saved to this year, the negotiations have been going around between Tanzania and Canadian states. So the deal has not been reached yet because as those who work closely with the BITs, they know that some other countries have their own model bits. Canada had their new model bit in 2021, and our BIT was signed in 2013. And during these negotiations, the Canadian side do not want to use the new bit mod to re-sign this BIT. Although that's not like for TATIC, it is not our intention that we re-sign it. But then the government thought maybe they should re-sign it, but with new terms. But then the Canadian side do not want to use new terms. You should remember the same BIT has 15 years sunset clause. And for those who haven't interacted with BITs, it means the same laws that they used 2013 when they signed it, they'll be governing the same BIT till after those 10 years, the initial years, and then 15 more years of the sunset clause if Tanzania say we're not re-signing this BIT. So you can imagine for 25 years, they'll be governed with the same policies, investment policies that they signed then. So you can imagine BITs brings to what it brings to your country. It brings regulatory chill. You cannot change your regulations. You cannot change your laws, because if you do so, they will take you to tribunal. And one of the huge backlash that this BIT brings to countries is those arbitration cases. They're very, very, very expensive. Penina earlier talked about the cases and the amount of awards. In Tanzania, we've been sued several times. I think most countries have been sued several times. It's just that these cases are very secretive as well. There is no transparent against, on these cases. So for those ones that we know, up to now, Tanzania have been, the award has been 600 million US dollars. You can imagine that amount of money. What can that amount of money do to our communities? The communities that do not have hospitals, do not have medicines, do not have roads, the schools that do not even have buildings, but we are paying for these cases. in the name of signing BITs will bring us FDIs, of which is not true. So we as a country, or well, as TATIC, we've been asking our government if they can review, because most countries actually have. South Africa has reviewed, and they got rid of all the BITs in place. So if other countries can, even our countries can do that. But we have to do that with caution, of course, because they may end up backfiring to us and we get more cases than solving the problem. So also, we also want our countries to change our investment landscape as well, to have a domestic business regulation and the quality of infrastructures that support or attract FDIs, that rather than thinking by signing these contracts we'll have FDIs in place. Even if the bits are reformed like other countries are doing that, developing countries may still face challenges in attracting and retaining FDIs because they may also still be lacking skilled workforce and technological infrastructure needed to support complex FDI projects. FDIs can have both positive and negative impact on developing countries still. It is important for government to have ability to regulate FDIs and ensure that it benefits the broader economy of the society. Not that we sign these BITs, of which we know they're only there to protect and promote, but not to protect us, because we're not even allowed to change our laws. We're not allowed to regulate. If something happens and we try to regulate, they say, oh, maybe you're frustrating, we're frustrating the investment. And then where do they run to? To sue us. So developing countries like Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Burundi, we really need to be stern and know what we want, so that even if we attract investment, but we do not sign contracts, treaties like these BITs, whereby they're not good for us, they're coming to bite us. I think I'll end up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Olivia, for giving us that Tanzania's perspective. And I think it's coming out clear from what you say that these BITs are coming to bite us. Really, the provisions within are not in favor of us, the people, or even the communities. So this is why we are having such conversations to see how best then do we go? How can we try to renegotiate? Do we terminate? This is why we're having a conversation, just so we can have different perspectives from you, the participants, on the way. What can we do? As I think Olivia mentioned that the Tanzania BIT that is expiring on 9th, if I heard you clearly. So then 9th December 2023. So then what are the steps that have been taken to ensure that this BIT is not automatically renewed, just so, because you have to now have to comply if it is automatically renewed. So I think, thank you, Olivia, for giving us that perspective. I wanted to recognize Bart from Somo. Thank you for joining us. We've had very many participants joining. Marcus Willing from Eurodad, thank you very much for joining us. We will have now a conversation from perspective from Burundi. What is happening in Burundi? How is the status? What are steps maybe that have been taken on for the Burundi government so that these BITs can be maybe renegotiated or terminated? You will tell us the perspective from Burundi, but also just to mention, I think from the conversations that have been spearheaded, much as the civil society, we can raise awareness to this effect, but we do not have the capacity to write, for example, to the government of the parties, for the state parties on these issues. So we have to include the government from different countries. I see from our end, we have Farida from the Ministry of Finance. Farida Wahemuka joining us. I don't know if you're able to hear us, but thank you for joining us. I think you will have to, at the later stage, to share with us your perspectives on this topic. Given that maybe you have, as government, there's a way, or if there are steps that have been taken. We are aware that for the Ugandan perspective, in 2017, our BIT with the Netherlands, Ugandan BIT with the Netherlands, was expiring, and Uganda at least took some steps to that effect and wrote a letter of intention to renegotiate the BIT to the Netherlands government. We do not know yet because from the UNCTAD database, it still shows that that BIT is still in force, and yet we had made steps to renegotiate that treaty. I think it will give us some perspectives on the same. But for now, let me welcome Mr. Prime from Burundi to come and give us the perspectives. You're welcome, Prime.
Yeah, greetings from Burundi, and thank you everyone who joined. This is really a great opportunity for our countries to talk about the BITs. So as far as Burundi is concerned, Burundi have cancelled many BITs, especially in the mining sector. But these BITs with the other country, we are still advocating. I can remember that last year's Siatini have supported us carry on this advocacy. And as we are approaching the end of Burundi Netherlands BIT in the next month in January, I think we really do need support from you so that after its expiration, it won't renew because it is automatic one. That's why we have it really to stand as a country, as a region. I'm calling upon all of you to support us so as to see how they can terminate this BIT and renegotiate. But the other problem is that we as a civil society, we do not have a really a good capacity to negotiate. That's why most of the time we are not included in the negotiation because we do not have expertise. That's why we do also need borrow your expertise and see if we can contribute in the renegotiations. That is what I have to talk about to you about the BIT's Netherlands, which is expiring soon in January. But we are doing our best to create awareness among all the stakeholders so that the BITs between Burundi and Netherlands, so that everyone can understand the benefits of renegotiating it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime. I note that from the discussion, I note that you need support on the BIT that is expiring in January next year. And I think that the steps have to be taken as early as yesterday. So I think, I don't know if you have like if you have mapped out like a strategy for us to engage, or even the government, because it has to be through the government. I was expecting. You want to say something?
Yes. As we are a group of civil society, we are also in touch and in good collaboration with some MPs like those members of Uplift. I think we are in the good position to make actions. I think by in the near future, tomorrow I'll be sharing with you our strategy and see if you can support us in one way or another.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prime. And I think as a output or outcome of this meeting is that to make sure that we are not working really in isolation. We need support from each other. I think that is a welcome suggestion. And maybe to on the Kenyan perspective, we're expecting someone from Action Aid, but they did not seem to make it. So, oh, Prime, you're raising your hand. You want to say something? You can take it up.
Yeah, I want to add that we are still really mobilizing our stakeholders to get involved. Even here in Burundi, Action Aid is working on these issues. I think we still have to keep on mobilization as the actions are being undertaken. So I think that we have to still mobilizing, whether regional and at the country level.
Okay.
Also,
Thank
we
you.
need to we are planning to associate the media so that our voices be heard.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think that's a good strategy. Thank you. Like you said, maybe you can share tomorrow because we intend to take it up at the regional perspective to maybe we have also planned some media activities on this move to engage maybe from the East Africa perspective, but we shall carry it on from what you share. I was mentioning that we're expecting someone from Kenya, but they did not make it. I don't know if I can give an update though on the Kenyan perspective, the BIT maybe they have with the Netherlands, and it's one of the other some provisions. However, we had just not to my colleague. The other week was having a presentation, but I don't know, not to really hijack you, but you had a very good presentation from the Kenya Netherlands BIT. I don't know if you can hear me and if you're able to share some perspectives, but if not, then I can just give some highlights. But I think you're still muted. We can see you, but you can see talk, but we're not able to hear you. Maybe you're still muted. But I can see you signaling. I don't know if it's on my end or other people are able to hear you. Can someone confirm if they're hearing? But
No, maybe the headset he's using. Sometimes they tend to do that, yeah.
Ah, okay. I thought it's on my end. But maybe the headsets. Just a minute. Hello, Bart. Mm. Okay, I don't know if he's able to hear us. I had mentioned because he had a very good presentation someday, and I picked out some aspects from the Kenya and Netherlands BIT, what he was discussing. I don't know. I think you can always join in, but in case you're listening. But for in the meantime, I can just share. Okay, you're back. You cannot hear us. Okay. Oh, that's sad. Okay then. I'll just take it on to share a few perspectives. So the Kenya Netherlands BIT was signed on 11th September 1970, and like I mentioned, these BITs, most of them were signed. I think when these East African countries had just got independence, so they are backdated. Really, they are, I think, outdated in my opinion. But it entered into force in 1971. It's one of the oldest BITs, I think, existing from the discussion that I had. And the Kenya size, for now, they have over 21 BITs in force. But like they also mentioned that there is at least they have the model treaty, the Kenya model treaty that was in force in 2003. However, the discussion is these provisions in the Kenyan BIT are not in favor of the country, like I mentioned before. It offers a range of exclusive rights to the investors that include some standards of treatment, the national treatment, and most favored national treatment. They include rules of expropriation and compensation, the transfer of capital, and these provisions. They also, I think, they also mentioned that they restrict performance requirements, so the communities or the people of Kenya are not able to really to benefit more from the investments made as a result of these BITs. They miss aspects, like we said, aspects of maybe the free, prior, and informed consent by the host communities. They do not really engage the host communities, the indigenous people, on how best they're going to really have that collaboration and relate to them. But also, how are those communities going to benefit from such huge establishment of these investments? The fact that many investments leave impact these people and also their environment. Usually these they come and cut down maybe trees, maybe they have an establishment of the investments in swamps, so they alter the environment, perspective. They also affect the environment, not only the people. So these BITs that we're talking about have such violations of human rights. They do not talk to the human rights and business and human rights standards. They're not included in these BITs. And I'm talking right now in general because all these BITs do not have aspects of business and human rights. They do not have aspects of, for example, prohibition of protection of environment all those aspects are not involved. So this is why we're having such a discussion. And from the Kenyan perspective, they have a BIT with the Netherlands, which is also expiring on the 11th of June 2024. So what that means is if it's expiring on the 11th, in that BIT it mentioned that they should have had 6 months given the government prior information or notification to renegotiate the treaty 6 months before. So if these 6 months have not, if the notification has not been given within 6 months, then that means that for now, I don't think the Kenyan government has done much to that effect, which is why it's raising a lot of questions. That means by if it's June, if it's by 11th June, that means we should have they should have a notification by December this year. So nothing has been done of yet, which is why we are raising such questions, just so it can maybe ignite debate in these countries. Civil society can try to, because we are aware that maybe some of the government officials are not aware of such agreements. They are not aware of the date of expirations. So if civil society can make some, create some awareness, maybe government can do something. So I think the letter of notification has to be sent in maybe for the Kenyan government perspective. This I think next Friday by 8th, it has to be sent in. So we are in touch with some of the Kenyan civil society, like Action Aid Kenya and Econews. We are being in touch so that we can maybe have this later wrote by next week, and then they can send, maybe the government can send, so that by June next year, they already sent in that notification. Yeah, so that is maybe what I had to share, a few aspects that I had on the Kenyan BIT. And now I will invite people or participants who would like to add some voice. I'm sure we have some people who might have questions, who might need to add comments on the same. So I will invite anyone who has a question or a comment or any addition or subtraction to have a floor. I do welcome questions now. You may raise your hand, or you may raise, okay, Sheila Ainembawazi, please, second the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. This is really an insightful conversation because personally, I feel like there's certain things that people on the ground might not entirely understand, like in the grassroots areas, like maybe someone might not even know that they could invest in a certain country. And there's an issue that you should talk about civil society organizations. Usually the civil society organizations are the ones that are in the grassroots areas, that are on the ground with people, and they can engage them and also engage stakeholders. So I think the bit of advocacy with the civil society organizations is really key. And if there's a way we could really embrace it, this could help us create this awareness. Yeah, and thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you very much, Sheila. We did not get to know where you're coming from. You may wish to share, or in the chat would like to know who is in the room. So very much, thank you very much. I'll welcome Jennifer. I'm seeing the hands. Jennifer for now, and then we can taken.
Okay. Thank you, Judith. And thank you for the presentation. It was quite, I'm learning actually. I was wondering why am I in the meeting on trade negotiations, and I'm always on the issue of environment protection and conservation and restoration. So at the end of it all, I really noted how I fit in very well. And at the last part there, you mentioned something that really touched me, that many investments impact on communities and the environment. They alter the landscape, and communities are not involved. They are not protected. It means these people do not do anything to ensure that the environment is protected. So I think that is a very interesting part. So how can we come in? I just saw that this is an area where we can come in, because in most cases, communities are not aware of their rights. So the idea of, I was just thinking, the idea of free, prayer, and informed consent is very essential. So I think as CSOs, when we are aware of an investment coming to an area, I don't know whether what I'm saying is really pertinent, but I just thought loudly that the issue of free prayer and informed consent is very essential, so that we can engage with communities. They know that they have a right to a good environment. The investment is good, yes, to benefit either the community or the citizens, but in most cases we will see how most investments have left a lot of that in the community, and leaving the communities worse than what they were before the investment came in. So can a free and informed consent be done so that communities can engage right from the beginning in investment, so that everyone is on the same page, so that everyone can own whatever will come up. And also if their voice comes in, then these people can take up responsibility to ensure that meanwhile we are investing, there are people here, they have a right to a clean environment, something. So that is my thinking. As CSOs, we can come in such an area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. I think you do raise a very good point on FPIC, the aspect of free prayer and informed consent, and how communities should be consulted. I think that is a good thing. And at Siatini, it's something we've been trying to push for, even before we, in our investment code, really. We have been trying to push for the review of the investment code to address such aspects of free, prior, and informed consent. Some investment will come and be established, and they leave, and it has impacts on the people that are living there. There's a very good example that they usually use, how some investors come and they leave very many people, young people pregnant, young girls pregnant, the investors, and they just move with their investment and go to their countries. But that has been tried to also be settled in the social impact assessment bill that is going to, it's still a bill in Uganda, but it's still something that we are trying to advocate for beyond Uganda, beyond the investment code, how our workers being protected, what is the impact on the environment, how are these investments going to benefit the communities. So thank you, Jennifer. I think that is something that is very insightful. Nice, you have been raising your hand for too long. Here is your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Judith. Basically, my question is on the issue of tax, because you realize that recently the UN adopted the Framework Convention on Tax, and the BITs often include provisions for the protection of investments, including protections against double taxation, and also create situations whereby investors exploit loopholes in the tax treaties to minimize basically their tax obligations. So with these renegotiations, are we considering including the UN model during the renegotiations? And because basically most of these BITs have been basing their models on the OECD. What's our take? Well, how are we going to negotiate this? Will we be basing ourselves on the UN model or something better? Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Nice. I think you raised a very important question. I don't know if you're addressing that question to me or you have a particular person. I will attempt.
You can attempt, and also if someone has a way with it, they can answer.
Yes. Yes. So in our advocacy to renegotiate these treaties, I think the long time should be terminating the treaties. But we look at how these investments, the bilateral investment treaties, also do not align with the global tax regimes that are being negotiated, that are being passed right now, that are new. So like I mentioned, most of these investment agreements are for a long time ago. So they do not have an aspect, the new developments that have come on board, be it tax, be it the emerging issues on energy transition, be it the emerging issues on, the efforts to combat climate change. All those emerging issues under even tax has not been incorporated. So this is why we're trying to advocate for negotiation of these treaties to align with these global tax regimes, to align with for example, the national determined contributions of this for our country, to be exact. Let's say, because every country is now having the national determined contribution. So how are these treaties going to be aligned with such initiatives in place that are coming in place now? So one of the aspects is we are calling for these bilateral investment treaties to align with the global tax regimes. I am hoping that a bit answers you. If anyone wants to add, you're most welcome. Maybe, I don't know, my panelists. I know Olivia is very much informed on such issues, but Arinda, Ruth, you're raising your hand. You may come in.
Thank you, Judith, and everyone that has spoken so far. Mine is on, like, one would ask, the signing BIP really contributes to the FDI in the country. And from my perspective, it is, yes, it does, but not entirely. There are other factors that sort of contribute to FDI. How BI is
Ruth, you're being, I think you're breaking.
And the like.
I think you're breaking.
Am I here now?
You're much better right now. You may maybe repeat.
I was saying that signing of BIT between countries does not entirely contribute to the FDI stock of the country. And I was taking an example of Uganda's case, where we have around 6 BITs in force with countries like the UK and Netherlands. But then when you look at studies, it really shows that the most FDIs in the country are from countries like China, which has around 23% of FDIs, and India and Kenya. Vis-a-vis the FDIs that come from the UK, which we have a BIT with, and the Netherlands. So to me, yes, we need the BITs, but there are other factors that we could look at maybe in the Ugandan system or in our country systems to ensure that we attract FDIs. It could be the political systems or setup, or even the economic factors like reducing inflation and the like. And like Olivia mentioned earlier, on the issue of South Africa terminating BITs that had ISDs, and that was in 2010. It terminated the BIT with Germany because it had issues of ISDs to protect the country from those economic losses. And studies still show that even after that termination, it did not necessarily affect the FDIs from Germany to South Africa, because that was in 2010 when they terminated. And in 2014, we saw Germany's FDI stock in South Africa increasing, even if they did not have a BIT at the moment with them. So for me, really, we should look at how to set up systems that attract FDIs without necessarily looking at assigning BITs with those countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ruth, for those very informative comments. I think we'll have to have a discussion on that. I will first welcome Marcus. Marcus,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to come back to the question of preferential tax treatments established via BATs, and as Nice rightly said, the upcoming opportunity of a United Nations-led framework convention on taxation and tax justice. I think this is a very important and very actual question at the moment. Judith, in your reply, you outlined that BATs should care for alignment with international tax ruling. But I'm wondering, I'm asking if this is enough, knowing that the prevailing tax regime is in favor very often of multinationals. So my question to you is, wouldn't this be an opportunity now to try to get into the debate about an UN tax convention, and there as well establishing clauses about tax justice, about revenues staying in the countries, which would override existing international tax arrangements. So giving a special place on investment treaties, or even further on existing taxation arrangements, which should be overwritten by new global rules with the objective to keep more revenues in the country of investment. So is tax treaty UN convention opportunity to bring this topic up? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcus. I don't know if I am in the right shoes to answer the question of is that enough if we align the treaties with the global tax regimes? If you actually mention that even the existing taxation maybe in favor of multinationals, then that means that leaves us with no choice but to maybe to include the fact of renegotiating also the tax. That this time we're negotiating the investment treaties, but that looks like there's also a conversation that should be opened on renegotiating or even terminating the existing tax agreements. So I think that is a discussion that I think I like that discussion. It's an eye opener really. But my direct answer is that if the tax agreements, the existing tax agreements and treaties are in favor of multinationals, since it's the same as the investment treaties, then maybe also the existing tax or agreements need to be renegotiated. And on the investment aspect, the investment treaties, we are not only, I think it's just this discussion is just opening up the question of renegotiating, but the end of the day, we are looking at there's a termination treaty that is being negotiated, and if countries do sign to that treaty, the termination treaty, meaning all the existing international investment agreements, bilateral investment agreements will automatically be terminated. So much as we are doing, we are renegotiating right now, we're still giving room of, okay, if this bilateral investment treaty is being renewed every year, how about we send a termination, a notification for renegotiations, and then it will not be enforced, and then we can start the renegotiation. And if it's not aligning with our national and objectives in respect to investment, in respect to taxation, then such agreements will be terminated at the end of the day. But yeah, that is just an opinion. Yeah, I do not want to take it on as though it is a thing. If I don't know if I don't see any hand up now, meaning that we are done with the questions and comments. If there is any, please feel free to raise your hand. But from us, we do appreciate you, and maybe to just mention that one of the way forward from the discussions that have come from Tanzania and on how they want to terminate some of they mentioned that have terminated some of the treaties. Burundi says they need support for the coming expiring agreement treaty in January. And I think even for the Ugandan perspective, it is true that, I don't know, Farida, are you able to hear us? Farida is from the Ministry of Finance. I don't know if you're able to hear us and add a voice. I think would appreciate if you are able to add a voice on the Ugandan perspective. If you can, if you're able to hear us, would appreciate. But I was saying that okay, Richard Obedi has a question before we move to the way forward.
Yes, Judith, thank you very much. I like the progressive discussion going on. Yes, you've also mentioned that you intend to actually take some of these issues into the regional space, and in the spirit of East African community and maybe also other regional blocks. I don't seem to hear other countries being mentioned. I've only heard Uganda, Tanzania, and Burundi, Kenya. Okay, the organization dealing with that issue seems not to be on the call. So my simple question is, what would be the fate of some of these other member states that are actually lagging behind? Maybe sometimes even they do not know what is going on. I like the honest submission by Burundi that, well, they actually need help. And their member states, for instance, DRC, South Sudan, they might not even be knowing what is actually going on. So I would also appeal to the whole team. Well, we need to do the mobilization, do the rallying around, especially with the strategy of engaging the media. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard. I think that is a welcome suggestion, and it is something we have been also thinking about. Like I mentioned, this is one of the first engagements that we're having, but there are many engagements of on the same topic that are upcoming, and the intention, you're tickling me to go on the way forward. let me first welcome Jennifer, and then I will answer at once. Jennifer, maybe I could answer at once. Jennifer, please.
Yeah, Thank you.
Jennifer, we do not.
Yes. Are you getting me now?
Yeah, you're better
Okay.
now.
Yeah, I want to agree with Richard what he just mentioned, because I'd forgotten, but Burundi mentioned that there is need for capacity, lack of capacity from the CSOs, and since they are the ones who normally reach the grassroots. So it is really, at times, even the lack of capacity may be just the lack of information or awareness to know that there is really, you need to do a bit of a negotiation, or you need to be involved in these things. So maybe this is where Siatini, which is already ahead, can really do a good job building the capacity of others. It can just be information sharing, awareness creation. And people know that, yeah, you can do these things, you can go ahead and do the negotiation and make sure that, because you also mentioned somewhere that they need to map out a strategy when the broad gentleman talks about it. So these could be the kind of information that they really need. You may think that you need something quite very big, but it can just be information. Someone tickles you that, just do a roadmap of how you can do this kind of negotiation very well, so that you start a bit early, and when something comes up, you can speak up and involve the stakeholders, the government who are going to do the negotiations. I'm very grateful that your team is doing a very great job. So I'm thinking loudly, but I just imagine the lack of information, even knowing that you can really be involved, is some of the few things that you need to build the skills and capacities. So these are the CSOs so that they can do a good job.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. I think you do relate with what Abed was saying. And if you allow me, if there are not any more questions, I will go ahead to the next the session on the way forward. And I think that we'll have to respond to your worries and comments, Jennifer and Obed. So I entirely agree with you on the issue of capacity building and the information sharing. And like I mentioned, I'll keep repeating that this is one of the sessions that we're having. But we intend to do more on engagements with other people. Maybe we'll even have people who are more informed on issues like maybe having BAT on board physically, since the virtual requirement is not doing as good. So our target is to have to involve other regional or state members, other EAC state parties, to speak to their perspectives on the BITs. And I think I agree with Obed on having other Congo or Rwanda, these that were not on the call today. And these are things that we're going to talk to in the next engagements. But before we even organize that engagement, one of the things is to have a statement as regions, as one region. And at Siatin, I think we'll have to develop a statement on renegotiating the regional BITs in East Africa, and we'll have participants give input from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Burundi, and other countries that are really interested. We'll have that, and we intend to do that, but we'll intend to involve media to also kind of put this issue in the public domain, so that it can reach where we cannot reach. And yeah, this is that is one of the way forward that we're going to do, and we'll have experts to put in to have input in the statement, or if possible, we can even have others that are on board that are willing to have. If you're actually interested, you could notify, and then we have this. We intend to have this as soon as possible before, for example, the Kenya BIT expires, which is it is the one that is about to expire soon. So we can have input from all of you, the participants, and then we have it published, or I don't know, put into the public domain. In the public domain. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Yeah, and thank you those people who have joined from wherever you've joined from other countries, from Tanzania. Thomas, I see Prime from Burundi. You still want to add a thing, but as maybe you can come in if I conclude.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, as you see, I wish this meeting should be regular, so as not to awaken when it's time to terminate the treaties. Like, for instance, you see, you awaken when it was about 1 or 2 months to terminate the treaty in Kenya and Burundi. So, if we can establish like a calendar according to the treaties which are going to be terminated, and then we should have regular consultations so that everyone can contribute. That one my viewpoint.
Thank you very much. I think it also answers very many questions. We will have, we'll do develop that calendar. We'll do develop and share with all of us. And then we can always agree on who is doing this, who is taking it on, who, we can always agree later on. And maybe also to mention that it is an opportunity, given that we have just negotiated the AFCFTA, and the investment protocol has been was adopted this year in February. I think it gives us a good opportunity, since it has a clause, an article that says that every nation
I think Judith has fallen off. We don't seem to hear her.
Yeah, sorry, I think I had connection issues, but let me use Arinda's gadgets. I was saying that the AFCFTA investment protocol gives us an opportunity to review, since it has an article that says that all the national legal frameworks in regards to investment should align with the investment protocol. And this is a good protocol that offers a way to better, provisions as if you relate it with other investment agreements with even at the national level. It has very good provisions as opposed to other investment treaties. So it gives us an opportunity to also align our national legal frameworks with that investment protocol and the other international level. We can also use that opportunity to domesticate it and have our national frameworks speak to it, but also the bilateral investment treaties to be renegotiated, to have such good provisions captured in the investment in those BITs. I'm seeing someone with a hand up.
Judith, sorry, I know we are wrapping it up, but I am just thinking, and personally, I like this conversation because it at least gives us a head start. And I'm happy that we've started this early enough. So I think what we may have to do, I'm just suggesting that we may have to undertake maybe a study or a baseline of all the investment, the BITs that that we actually have as a region within the East African region. Okay. And then we, we try to also map with the time, the expiry date, and then also sort of like try to look into them and find which areas do we need an improvement. Because, for example, a case in point, like on my side, I realize that most of the investment, the BITs that we have, they have been very weak on the areas on issues of climate change, because the issues of climate change and investments is sort of like as if it's a new area, especially within ASEAN and the global south. Of course, in the global north, they've really moved quite tremendously, progressively well. But now, as we are trying to cope up, because remember that the other day when we had the African Climate Conference in Nairobi just in August, we made a number of resolutions to try and ensure that all going forward, all climate change discussions in Africa should be Afrocentric. We should be able to form an input where the priorities of the challenges that are affecting African countries, because most of them, because of the challenges of debt, they're debt-stricken. The GDPs are very weak. Most of the people are in the rural communities, which are vulnerable to climate change. So we're saying we should be able to focus on how our people can be assisted, and those should be mainstreamed within all these BITs. So like now the issue of carbon trade is an area that is not well developed, especially within the region, and we think that all the BITs should be able to speak about this issue of climate financing. So at the end of the day, because we talk about carbon taxes, where are they? We are not seeing them, and yet these investments, they actually pollute. They pollute the environment, they pollute the air, they contribute to climate change because of their high emission rates. But we don't seem to have a very strong framework to ensure that that is actually, adhered to. I was the other day meeting the Honorable Jacqueline Amongin, who is the chairperson of the East African Climate Change Committee at Yara, the East African Legislative Assembly, and she said they are coming up with an East African Climate Change Act. You can imagine they're just coming up with one. And I was like, why don't you now use that opportunity to actually look at all the national climate change acts? Because like Uganda, we have a national climate change act that was passed in 2021. Kenya has its own act. In fact, Kenya recently amended its own act to introduce issues of carbon markets and carbon trade. So we need to take advantage of some of these opportunities to try and make sure we green our economies. And I want also to announce that just yesterday in Dubai, at the climate conference, they have adopted the loss and damage fund and ensured that the money is put there. So how do we ensure that now countries in the global south that are affected by these climate disasters actually tap that fund? So those are opportunities, in my view, that we may need to explore, probably in the future, and see that they are mainstreamed within all these BITs as they are going to be renegotiated. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Robert. I think you tried to tackle the aspect of these BITs aligning with our initiatives, and I think just to mention that at Siatini, I think what Jennifer was saying on how to provide information, I would like to mention that we recently at Siatini, we developed a paper on how the ISDs, the investor state disputes, do challenge the climate-related or energy transition efforts. So we have developed a policy paper on the same. We have developed papers on the carbon border adjustment mechanism, these the climate related initiatives that are challenged usually by these ISDs. And we have seen very many countries and very many cases, I think by by September 2022, there were over 80 cases in respect to the environment, how countries, for example, want to tackle an aspect of carbon capture, but the investors use these bilateral investment treaties to stop the government initiatives, such initiatives that are really in good faith. So we have developed a paper to that effect, and it will be on our website soon. Please visit our website to have such information. And but beyond the website, we can always share in these kind of engagements. We can share a link when it's finally published. But I can see a few hands. I think Robert, you can lower your hand. Then Penina, but Sheila first. Sheila, and then Penina, and then I'll introduce Penina, and then we wrap it up. Sheila.
I'm suggesting that even as we negotiate for BITs in the different countries where they're going to expire, I think we need to really do a review, like a periodic review is necessary. We need to assess how effective, how relevant, changing the social and environmental conditions are changing, so that we can be able to make informed decisions as we are negotiating for these new ones and know what works and leave out what does not work. Yeah, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Thank you for joining us. Penina, you can take it up and then we wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to share in regards to the policies that Siatini is trying to also push for review, like my colleague had mentioned on the investment code, but also the Ratification of Treaties Act, which has, of course, a big hand in how most of these treaties have been tabled before and are supposed to be tabled actually before even Parliament, but also whenever it is already stated in the Act that whenever there is a treaty that is an investment treaty that is going to be coming to a close, there is a need for government to actually put it before Parliament and review it. So that has not been the case. And of course, public participation is really important, which we believe for most of these policies is that most of these policies, while they exist, they are not fully being utilized or being actually used for a number of cases. I don't know why it is as such, but these are the issues that we face as countries, that we have very good policies, but they are never actually going to be fully implemented. So you find that even for the role of us having to be able to participate as pushing for public participation in reviewing these treaties or in trying to even understand when government is going to negotiate for most of these BITs, is that they need to ensure that there is public participation. So we need to find a way to review most of these acts. The Ratification of Treaties Act is really one that we believe could contribute also to create more awareness, but also raise more voices to share that our concern generally is that most of these BITs have still not come to realization of how they are contributing to the development of the country. And even for most of the cases that we see, based on the human rights violations, environment violations, it goes a long way into seeing to it that we review these policies to be more of fit for purpose, but also to see to it that we can be able to have a higher stake as civil society, but also stakeholders at large to see to it that our governments take these things seriously. And I believe they do it just at a way that most of the things that come out over a period of time, we have realized that is not how it is reflecting. And I believe for most of the countries, even for the different representatives here, it would be good if we could look at other countries. I know Kenya has one, and they have spoken to the issue of public participation. Whether it is a reality on ground, that would be one that we could see how to enforce that also as a region, to see to it that these acts actually are enforcing most of these articles to come into full utilization. And also just I wanted to also share that part of the area that I wanted to also mention is that increasingly we need to also go about seeing that we have more understanding that for these BITs coming into being negotiated, we need to ensure that the ministry, especially foreign affairs, is supposed to have a repository of all the agreements that have been signed. To date, Uganda doesn't have one. We are actually more relying on UNCTAD, the UNCTAD website, but we need to see to it that information, especially the transparency around it, is open for the public to actually gain from, and also to be able to even take note and notice that these BITs have expired, we need to renegotiate, instead of actually waiting and realizing we're already still having, it has been renewed just by either non-interest from the government to take notice of such areas. So we need a repository for most of the countries. If it would be good to even have one in the region, but we need for each country to have a repository of all their BITs that have been signed for the issues of transparency to come out. So those are the areas that as CIATINI we are advocating for. We know that we are trying to push more, especially to see to it that they really take full effect, to see to it that most of these investment discussions, trade and investment policies are able to fully be recognized as important, especially when it comes to how we are seeing a number of them being totally misused and not being aligned to our development goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Penny. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. And maybe just to really wrap it up, I will just give some of the way forward that I've seen from this meeting. We all agree that from the discussion, looks like we all agree that these bilateral investment treaties do not really they do not have a substantial benefit to our countries, so we might need to renegotiate them. But also the fact that most of the provisions of these international and bilateral investment treaties are aimed to promote and facilitate investment, as opposed to balancing the obligations of the state and the investors. They do not have that aspect of balancing the rights. They're usually focused on protecting investors. That is one of the issues that has been really observed in almost all the investment agreements and bilateral treaties. And maybe one of the things is that it's not us that the East Africa that the first people to do it. We can also benchmark from other countries that have tried to terminate. Actually for them, they terminated. They didn't even renegotiate. They terminated countries like South Africa. I think Olivia mentioned countries like Venezuela, countries like Burkina Faso. All these people, these countries terminated their BITs. With the Netherlands, actually, citing that these BITs lack a balance, but also they do favor investors a lot. So this is not the first. We can always benchmark from such countries to terminate such treaties. So yeah, I do agree that we do have to disseminate such information that we have. I do agree that like I said, that these investment treaties do not align with our new national objectives. So moving forward, like I said, we shall have a statement on the regional perspective, and then we can always share for you to have input, or other countries to have input, and then we can always put it in the public domain so that many other people can have a reach of it. But also do a lot of capacity building, like Jennifer mentioned, I think, with I think also Prime mentioned that we can always have such engagements a lot, so that it can always inform our I think Prime said that it's a wake up call, so we can always have these wake up calls to disseminate such information. Otherwise, from us to you, thank you very much for coming on board. Thank you very much for sharing your perspectives. And yeah, until next time, bye-bye. Thank you for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, colleagues. It was great listening into the different perspectives. Cheers.
Bye. Thank you for joining, Prime.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.